G'day YouTube. Warbles on a lot here. With a video response to disappearing comments on the thread. In order to explain the disappearance of comments and how I can actually track them and reply to them, I'm going to have to show you how I use YouTube at the moment, owing to the exigencies of the ancient app on my phone. So, come hither and I'll show you what I mean. Here we see a Sony Xperia E, aka my internet phone, the one with which I access YouTube. And there are two ways. On the one hand, if I go into the YouTube app over there I can see notifications, over there I can upload videos, I can also watch videos, and I can alter the titles and tags. However, I can't see comments. To see comments, I have to go over to Google and go into my YouTube channel via Google, which is slow and kind of cack-handed, and it means that the only effective way to transfer the notification from this view of YouTube to this view of YouTube so that I can answer it is to click on to the notification over here, watch 30 seconds of the video, and the fact that I've watched the video with the notification on its thread is then transferred to the viewing history over here. I go to the viewing history over here, click onto the video, go down to the thread and find the comment that I was notified of. It's a workaround, a backdoor effort. So this morning I went into the phone's YouTube app and I went into its notifications, of which there were about 6, and I come along here and I got a comment, notification of a comment from VBEd on my video about how Fraser is going to face charges for child abuse. Hitting a minor is bad optics, but I smell double standards. The Catholic Covington school kid with the MAGA cap gets crucified by the media for smirking at an American Indian beating a drum and 11 hours ago. So I was looking forward to answering that one, VBEd. And then, from Queenslander, what a joke! That little shit deserved more than a slap across the face. You lefties can't stand anyone else that has an opinion that differs from your own. You sure do warble on with some shit. Okay. So as you can imagine, I was looking forward to answering them. So the way we do that is we go over to the other side of the phone and we ask Google to show YouTube. Oops, something went wrong. Have a crack at the retry. Bugger. When that happens, I find the way to fix it is to switch the phone off and make a cup of coffee while waiting for it to reboot. And we try again. Gonna have to type YouTube in there. There we go. go into my videos. Oops, wrong buttonitis. Interesting. Try the history. And there we go. Senator Fraser Anning faces child abuse and assault charges. ... question mark. Because it is not possible to ask a defamatory question at law. Remarkable what they teach you in defamation law lectures as a student nurse. Whoopsie. Now it's fed me the wrong friggin' video. We are having fun today, aren't we? Wow. Far out. It now won't let me look at my own video. I think this is censorship on the YouTube. Upsy downsy. Aha, finally we get there. We go into the comments. We have Mike Flight from Scotland. We have Remedy Within. We have Phoenix Chastain. And we don't have any more comments. So VB Ed's comment has been deleted by someone, and Queenslander's comment has been deleted by someone. And I can either reply to them in writing, or I can make the coffee. Never quite figured out what causes the pitch change when you add the milk. But it happens every time. Okay, well, from what I can see of Ed's question, the answer is in two parts. First thing, Ed, it's not about optics. It's about breaking the law. It's about committing an assault. It's about committing child abuse. You apparently have nailed your flag to the mast of a sinking shit. That sinking shit is Fraser Anning. And the Chief Petty Orificer is Pete Finn. And you've been hanging around such right-wing neo-fascists for long enough that you've become mentally infected by their thought processes, such that instead of just dealing with the fact that your pet candy date on camera punched a child twice when the kid was standing still, having made his political protest, and throwing food at odious politicians is a millennia-long tradition in white Euro peon Christian society. So the kid, egg and egghead, good on him. Instead of dealing with that, oh, it's the optics, and then you're straight into the straw man, red herring whataboutism, talking about how some kid in a red hat was smirking at a national monument in the excited status where we don't live and nothing that happens over there has got anything to do with what we're talking about. And some Indian Vietnam veteran decided that his way of dealing with a MAGA hat, make America go away, would be to go up and beat a drum in the kid's face. And neither one of them did anything more offensive to the other than that. And of course, the media on both sides of the right-left equation went bananas over in the excited states. And you seem to think that's got something to do with Fraser Anning punching a kid in the head twice in Australia. You've been hanging around them too long, Ed. Either that or you've always been one of them, and being nice to me was a big fucking act on your part. But we'll get back to that later. The other thing, Queenslander, He reckons that the problem is that you lefties, that means anybody who doesn't want to stand up and salute his swastika, you lefties can't stand anybody having a different opinion. Well, no, it's not that we can't stand anybody having a different opinion. It's when somebody else's opinion is demonstrably, clearly, factually wrong. Then we speak up. When Fraser anally retented Anning spoke up and said that, oh, well, you know, it's not the problem with right-wing white supremacists and white nationalists and Christians. That's not a problem. The problem is that there's fear in the community because there's a Muslim immigration, and that's why there's shootings at mosques. It's all the fault of the Muslims. They're making us frightened, and that's why, you know, young, noble Brendan Tarrant went over to New Zealand because he couldn't get enough guns here in Australia, and he went and shot them all up at the mosque, you know. And, yeah, you think that's a problem with lefties, not being able to stand anybody who has a different opinion. I think you and Ed both decided to pull your comments because somebody pulled your strings. I think you're both a pair of puppets in the right-wing neo-fascist conspiracy to try and take over Australia that's being launched by between 1 and 10% of the population are going to be interested in your message. So that's how many people who are going to be on song with what you're singing. Well, I'm with the rest of the democracy. Welcome to democracy, because you fascist fuckwits lose. You can't even bloody cover your tracks when you try to run away on YouTube, when you're running away from a bloke who doesn't have a fucking computer. Speaking of covering tracks, did you notice how Brandum Tarrant put a whole bunch of shit in his manifestorino? Full of pus anyway. He put a whole bunch of shit in there talking about how he was a big environmentalist and he was an environmental fascist and he wanted... How long did he reckon he was an environmentalist for? He spent from when his father killed himself and he went away to Turkey to have a look at all the places where Christians had been killing Turks, right up until he went into the mosque with 5 guns with Turkish messages and Bulgarian messages against Turks written on all these different guns. You know, one of them was a Turk eater, written in Turkish, because Brandon Tarrant was a fucking turkey. I noticed that if he was an environmental fascist, why didn't he go and shoot up a bloody park full of bulldozer drivers, you know, when they're changing shift? How come he didn't bomb a bloody coal mine shaft and entomb the fucking evil, nasty coal miners? Why didn't he go and spike a whole lot of old growth forests so that the sawmillers get their arms and legs ripped off when they try to render the logs into timber? He didn't do any of that. He didn't do any of the things that the right wing claims the left wing terrorists are always going to do. Oh shit, no. He did what the right wing terrorists always fucking do. He went and shot a whole bunch of innocent, harmless, helpless civilians by surprise. And VB Ed, your mates are the ones who are calling for him to be given a medal for that. Your mates are the ones who are saying, oh, well, it's not the fault of the right-wing neo-fascist scumbags. Oh, fuck no, it's all the fault of them Muslims. If they weren't huddled in their mosques on their knees praying to God, we wouldn't be so frightened of them, because our European superior culture is so vulnerable to them Muslims on their knees that we have to go in and shoot them because we're so scared of the Muslims. And that's your political philosophy? Is that right, Ed? Fuck. And to think that you're an accountant, just like Barnaby Joyce. You went to a university and got a degree in how many beans make 5. How very surprising. But anyway, that's my reply to your retracted, redacted, badly hidden notification of what you think about Fraser Anning awaiting charges for child abuse and assault. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Ciao. Arr. Only trouble with these travel mugs, they keep the coffee too hot for too long. Once it becomes drinkable, it stays drinkable for a very long time. But there is that window of opportunity wherein that you can burn your lips, which is probably why VB Ed and Queenslander pulled their video down, because they're in the phase where they're trying to cover their tracks and they don't want to draw attention to their right-wing neo-fascist tendencies because they can smell the change in the wind and public opinion is currently right against them. Such is life. Have a good one.